Hey everyone, welcome out to episode 96 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. It's me, it's Mark. And yeah, four more after this to 100. If you're watching on YouTube, yes, I'm rocking out my Nickelodeon mug with all the classics. We got Cat Dog, Angry Beavers, Ren and Stimpy, the weird ones where they were skateboarding a lot, Our Real Monsters, Doug, freaking Rocco's Modern Life, SpongeBob. We got the freaking Rugrats on there. Oh, so good, so good. So not a lot going on. Actually, there is. So it's Christmas time. End of the year's approaching. 2021 is almost over. Even though I feel like it's still like the beginning of 2020 slash 20. Like it's been such a crazy year, and it's one of my least favorite time of the year because I'm not a big Christmas person. Okay, I'm not like, oh yay, Feliz Navidad. It's snowing. Oh, Christmas tree lights. Yeah, let's get all that. No, that's not how I am. Instead, I'm like Halloween. I like Thanksgiving. I like Halloween. It's like cool, creepy things and horror and scary movies. Thanksgiving food and dessert and then food. Um, Definitely a lot of food. And the Christmas time, it's just like being from New England, but like I'm in Southern California. It's like in New England, it's like, oh, it's gonna snow. You can't do anything. So the weather and it's cold and there's not really. I don't know. Christmas seems too happy of a holiday. Like like people are like overly happy, and you're just like, how is this person always so overly happy? But damn well at one point during the day they are eating pizza rolls and crying. I'm just saying, because I mean, I'm not saying I've cried and eat pizza rolls before, but hey, sometimes being overly happy kind of takes its toll on you emotionally. But Christmas, not really my thing. The only thing that's good about Christmas is I can always have my annual debate on social media and with my friends about what is the greatest Christmas movie ever. And obviously, for me, you got to throw Gremlins in there, Die Hard, Jingle All the Way. I mean, especially Gremlins. Like that is like pivotal Christmas movie. Die Hard, eh. I mean, technically speaking, Tim Burton's Batman Returns, I believe, is a Christmas movie. One of the either Batman or Batman Returns technically was during Christmas, and a lot of people are like, well, it's not Christmas themed, so it's not a Christmas movie. I'm like, well, it takes place during Christmas. Like Home Alone, people say that's a Christmas movie just because they were going on Christmas vacation and he was home. But like technically speaking, it wasn't Christmas themed. It just so happened to take place during Christmas, and that's why his family was gone. So there's a lot of debate on what is a Christmas movie. Realistically, it's just people who don't want to admit that Gremlins is the best Christmas movie. And yeah, that's something I will definitely going into because there's an episode I already have planned, and I've already started like working on the breakdown of everything. I will be doing a Christmas movie ranking special episode. Maybe a guest. I don't know yet. We're still working out it because of a time change, time zone differences. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing also, because I noticed my subscriber count has been going up, and I'm like, ooh, thank you. I appreciate that. For those of you listening, you can't see, but you can see there is a Gundam uh, bag again behind me. Yes, for the fourth time, I have returned to the Bandai pop up store here in San Diego. I have gotten some more goodies. Not that I needed more goodies, but I definitely needed some more goodies. I don't know if I think I did my second time I went over there. I did cover it on the podcast. This is my fourth time. The third one I didn't. And because of all the stuff I bought, I don't remember what I got for the third one. There's a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff. So there's gonna be gaps in when I do videos for stuff that I bought, and this one where you're gonna be like, well, that wasn't. It's like, yeah, bought a lot of stuff. Also, real quick, I got a haircut. You know, uh, needed it. Need to clean up a bit. Was looking a little bummy, so to speak. But we're gonna get into the Gundam stuff. We're gonna get into our main topic, which is gonna be Spider-Man related. Honestly, with no was it No Way Home? Yeah, No Way Home. I forget everyone had like home and it was like homecoming. Yo, why is this person honking the horn? Like, he's like literally parked in front of my apartment complex, just honking his horn. It's like I get it, it's raining, but like, why? Like, what? You don't got an umbrella? Like, I'm trying to record a podcast here. Okay, so, uh, yeah, I'm about to go outside. Anyone who knows me knows like I don't have a temper per se. I can like control it now. It's like a controlled chaos inside of me, thanks to anger management. 2-time graduate, by the way. And uh I just I can like harness it, but I've been known, even if, like when I'm in group like audio like parties on Xbox or on like Discord or this and that, and, like someone's on the horn, like they laughed because I'll put the headset down and my mic can pick up a lot of stuff when I have it to certain settings, and they'll hear me open the door and they'll just hear me be like, "Hey, what the f are you doing? Like, shut the f up!" Like, and then I'll like do it, and then like sometimes the person I'm yelling out to will say something back, and then I have to retort, and then I'll come back, sit down, and like everyone's just laughing because I'm very witty. I'm very quick on my wits, especially with comebacks. So it's like most of the time, if I yell one time to like someone like, "Hey, stop honking! Hey, turn down your effing music," because a lot of people just park in front of the gate because it's gated, but I'm up front. So they'll sit there and blast music while they're waiting to get in the gate, and it's like, why are you blasting freaking music that loud? Like, I never understood the appeal of listening to music really loud in your car because it's like, if you can hear it, it's fine. Like, why do you need it louder than that? Then it's distorted and it sounds like trash, especially because a lot of them don't have a good equalizer or know how to like properly adjust audio. But you really can't properly adjust audio in a car to fine tune it like you could on a computer. So just saying, no point in having your music that loud, especially when it's just rattling from the treble and the bass. Like it's like that's so stupid. But that's off topic because this person was interrupting my recording. So talking about Spider-Man. So with No Way Home coming out this Friday or Thursday night for like the 9 p.m. or 7 p.m. I forgot. So that pause for those of you who are listening to the podcast was them honking the horn again and me deciding if I want to walk the 25 feet to my front door, open the door, and then yell at this car for honking the horn. And I decided I don't want to. Not yet. Not yet. It's getting there though. So Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the topic because No Way Home is coming out. And I know here in California, I can go to like 7 p.m. showings or 8 p.m. showings because they don't do the midnights. So on Thursday, I can go like 7. Then there's like a 7:30, there's an 8 and an 8:30 and a 9 o'clock showing. Usually there's not one after 9 o'clock now. So generally speaking, everyone's like out, like, at the latest by like 12:30, giving like credits and this and that. So with No Way Home coming out, I was like, you know what? Let's revisit Spider-Man. Not Homecoming and Far From Home. We took it back. We went to the Raimi Trilogy. That's right. And then the freaking Amazing Spider-Man 2 film. And so the main topic is going to be a lot of Spider-Man films and me just discussing them and what worked, what didn't work, especially with the Amazing Spider-Man ones because I was a fan of Amazing Spider-Man as a comic book. Like, yes, I read Spectacular and Spider-Man, like all of them, but like from a comic book standpoint, I think Amazing Spider-Man was like pretty damn good. 1 and 2, the Electro design, we'll get into that, but that's gonna be later on. So it is all Spider-Man related, Spooderman, everything. But before we get into Spider-Man stuff, let's go over my games, my comics, my Gundam stuff, and sadly, none of my comics are near me that I just got. Like, I'm like looking around, I'm like, are they? Yeah, so none of them are over here. I actually don't know where I put them. I'm actually in the middle of organizing. Again, I know I organize a lot. But I know what I got. So, uh, I didn't buy any comics. I did buy a lot of manga though, like manga. I bought a lot, and by a lot I mean like 6 or 7 volumes, which technically is a lot. When you think about the fact that most manga, the price point is like $12.99 to $19.99, depending on if you're buying like an omnibus, like a Campodium one, or just regular volumes. When you think about it, 7 or 8 is like that's like a huge comic book haul because most comics are $3.99 to $5.99 depending on the, or if you get a special issue that's $7.99. Um, not counting trades. Like, so what do you think about it? The price of one manga realistically is 3 regular comic books. So if you buy 5 volumes of manga, that's literally like 15 comics right there. That is a weird trade off when you think about it. Like that is actually no, because it's about four. Eh, it depends on how you do it. You got to do total math, but like, so getting that much manga is actually kind of like it does. I count it as a lot. It's not a lot in volume amounts, but it's a lot in money translated to comic book purchases. So I found the Superwoman in Love #3. There's only gonna be 4 volumes of this. I've done a YouTube video on it. I like my tokusatsu related stuff. I'm not really a fan of the, I guess they call it girl love manga, where it's usually like a female infatuated with another female, this and that, and it's like rom com style. I'm not actually a fan of that in general. Like nothing against it. It's just usually when I'm getting manga and stuff like that, it's like Yokai Watch, Ultraman, uh, you know, Dragon Ball Super, My Hero, Death Note. A lot of weird, like I got some of the Legend of Zelda manga. It's like I'm going for like more action based with some humor. Sometimes I like rom coms, but not all the time. So this was kind of like a pleasant surprise for me that like I'm actually like enjoying it. So I'm definitely going to be looking more into other manga outside of my normal genres I get. I finished off the Ultraman manga set, which you got to see behind me. That is now current. There's no new volume until January, I believe. Speaking of, Ultraman season 2 is coming to Netflix. That anime, oof, looks so delicious. I can't wait. It's so good. As an Ultraman fan, that like, I needed it. And then I picked up 2 more volumes of Yokai Watch. I wish I had them over here. I'm almost current with that. I know there's 18 volumes right now. I'm up to about 12 or 13. I'm getting pretty close to finishing what's current. They kind of slowed it down where there was like 1 volume. I think there was like this year alone only like 2 volumes came out. Like, and then there's a break. Like they aren't consistent with releasing Yokai Watch manga even since it was, because what do you think about it? They're all 18 volumes in, and that manga started years ago. So I don't know what the deal is with it. Um, I still don't even know what the deal is with the Switch game coming over to the States. It's been over 2 years since they said that they were looking into a localization English translation of it. I have the Japanese version of it. I know enough kanji and learned a lot hiragana to actually be able to read most of the menus and dialogue, but it would be nice from a casual, relaxing standpoint to just have it translated finally and brought over. That's besides the point. So, obviously, I didn't get any comics this week. I didn't have time. At the time of recording this, I haven't even gone to the comic book store. Um, and yeah, I've already talked about it before with like my pull list and this and that, and like cutting down on a lot of comics. So it's like I'm not getting much anyways. If I go in, I'm maybe getting 4 or 5 issues, and not even 4 or 5 a week. Like maybe at most I'll get 10 comics a month now, and I mean, it's not bad. Okay, I'm saving money and I'm still getting trades when they come out. I'm just being more aware of how many comics I have, my collection, and what I want to read. Like I have friends that I talk to all the time and they're just like, "Yeah, I'm collecting these and it's like these runs." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Are you reading them?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, why?" They're like, "I'm collecting them because the set is worth this or the set's going to sell for that." And I'm like, "You buy comics and don't read them? Like at all? Like you don't even get like variant cover and like save the variant cover, read the regular one. They're like, no. I'm like, but okay. I have a friend who pulled all the Hickman X-Men. Did not read any of them. Didn't read House, Powers of X, or anything. Especially House and Powers of X. Like, he was buying all the connecting covers because I was buying them. If you followed me on social media, you see any. And I don't think I was doing video versions at the time, but I was getting all the House and Power of X connecting variants, and they were delicious. They look so good. I had a friend pulling them too. But the thing is, I was reading the regular base covers. He wasn't reading any of them. He was just like, "Yo, these covers are sick. All these X-Men. That's gonna cater to the X-Men fans on eBay, and people are gonna buy them." I'm like, "Okay, if you say so." And what happened was, tried to start selling them. Was literally getting cover price if he was lucky. Like, I sold one set of two of the connecting variants because I was trying to free up some space, and I didn't care like what I got for them. As long as I got more than cover price, I didn't care. Because obviously I don't resell. I'm not a comic book reseller unless like something happens or like an emergency. Like there's like when the pandemic first started, I had to go into my key issue box because I didn't know what was gonna happen with money and how I'm paying rent and bills. I got to survive. Got to feed my pet. That's and so I I went into the key issue long box, and I was like, all right, who's gonna pay my phone bill and my cable bill and some of my rent, and I need groceries. Like let's see what we can pull out of the box. And I had to go into the box a couple times, and that's the emergencies, rainy days. Like obviously did not touch the Walking Dead complete run. I still got that one to the end, all first prints, near mint condition, smoking pet free environment because those are not here with me. Those are back home in the very, very, very secure, airlocked totes in a safe, dry environment. And then, I got my Amazing Fantasies 15. I got, a couple of the keys for Detective Comics and Action Comics. I got some key X-Men, got some key Hulks, got a couple key Captain Americas, got a couple key Green Lanterns, Superman. Like, I got a lot of keys, issues, a lot of first appearances, and a lot of, like, complete runs of certain things that are, like, really good. And I got some good graded, some good 9 point. I even got some 4.2s, 4.5s that are just chef's kiss for deliciousness value. But those are all rainy day comics. I never got those to sell. So, my friend, he's like, oh, I'm not getting anything for these. They're trash, this and that. And, I'm like, well, you're buying for the wrong reasons. Like, the comic book market in general right now, sales have dropped a lot. And I'm not talking like all the other YouTubers you see out there that are just like, well, the comic books are getting woke, and no one wants to read woke comic books. Blah, 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 blah. That's what they sound like, honestly. It's like, get woke, go broke. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. It's like, comic books have been, quote unquote, this woke for so long. Like, they've been so diverse. They have been diverse since they started comic books. So I'm just like, bro, shut the fuck up. That's it. Just shut the fuck up. So, comic book sales are down, okay? I get that. So, reselling is down. But for newer comics, like, if you're collecting new runs, you're not going to get a return on investment right now, okay? There's no ROI on new runs right now. Unless you're getting, like, Crane, Virgin variants signed and this and that. That's different. Getting things signed and graded is different. I'm saying from you go in a store, you buy a comic book cover, like a variant, like a cover B or a cover C or a one in store variant. Right off the bat, month later, you might be able to get double your money. Maybe. If it's a low end one. If it's like a $4 cover, you might be able to get 10, 15. But if you're buying like the 100, the 1 in 100, 1 in 150, 1 in 250, that's not going to double. It's not going to be a $500 comic book a month later. It might go up from like 250 to like 275, maybe 300 if you're lucky. But getting a signed and graded and that's different, okay? That's a different horse in the race. But just from a base cover, boarded and bagged, obviously boarded and bagged. If you don't board and bag your comic books, what is wrong with you? You're a sociopath. Just saying. I know people don't board and bag their comics, and I'm just like, who hurt you? Why won't you bag your comics and put a board on there? Talking to you, Mom, with your 1961 to 1965 complete run of Archie comics not boarded and bagged. Luckily, they're in a better place now with me, boarded and bagged safely, properly. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to this whole, like, My Mom is a Nerd episode. It's way back in like 2019, around like September ish. So it's within the first like dozen or so episodes I did of the podcast. And yeah. So, newer. So I don't. So this is me. Like right now, my pull list is cut down. And guess what? I'm okay with that because I'm not reselling anything. I'm I'm not pulling to sell. I'm pulling what I read. That's why it's like, I got Donny Cates Thor and like Donny Cates crossover and Donny Cates Hulk and anything Donny Cates is writing. And then Kyle Higgins, I got Radiant Black and, whatever future ones he has coming out. I just have him written down on my pull list at the other thing. Kyle Higgins. That's all it says. And then the beta at the comic book shop's like, so your subscription list, it just says Kyle Higgins. And I'm like, yeah. And underneath it says Donny Cates. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, so was there something specific? I'm like, yeah, so them. And they're like, what? I'm like, anything they write. Just put it in my box. And they also have Hickman. I'm like, yep. And Ryan Parrott. I'm like, yep. And Sinner Grace. I'm like, yep. And they're like, but then you wrote down Miles Morales Spider-Man. I'm like, yeah, no, Miles Morales, good. I don't care who writes it. Like, I'm in or whoever, I don't figure out who's writing it right now because I have like so many Spider-Man runs I'm reading right now. Like, older ones too. And I'm like, yeah, no, maybe Spider-Man. And they're like, do you want Thor anymore? I'm like, I don't know. Is Donny Cates still writing it? Like, I think so. It's like, okay. When he's not, put one issue after he leaves so I can see where it's going. If it's good, I'll keep it. Then I have, my Mighty Morphin and my Power Rangers. Something is Killing the Children. And then that other spin-off on the Slaughterhouse, which is really good. If you haven't checked that out, that's good. Then I get a few video game related ones that aren't consistent. So like Life is Strange is the main one. Because not a lot of other video games are getting right now. There was supposed to be another run of the Division comics, I think, and we only got the 3 arc one, and that like a year, 2 years ago, and that was it. We haven't gotten anything since, which is annoying because it was a good 3-issue arc. The world building is really good for the Division and the comics, and then I get the Life is Strange, or not Life is Strange. I already said Life is Strange. Stranger Things, because those are great comics. And then I get a few other ones. I don't pull Green Lantern anymore. I don't. Um, just hasn't been good writing lately, honestly. And for Batman related stuff and this and that, I'm waiting for trades. I don't pull Batman weekly anymore. Or Shazam even. I stopped Shazam because they were so inconsistent with the way they were releasing issues. I was like, you know what? Just take Shazam off the list. I don't even want Shazam anymore. And that's a lot for me because I'm a huge Shazam fan. Like, there's a lot of comic book characters I was a fan of way back when I was a young lad. I liked Captain Marvel, Shazam, Green Lantern, obviously, Aquaman. Always been an Aquaman fan. Aquaman, even when I was a kid, I thought it was cool. Not corny, not the butt of the jokes. I actually thought Aquaman was like super badass, and I thought like he could probably beat everybody. And then later on, we saw with Jim Lee doing the artwork, and when he was working on Justice League, we got Aquaman basically beating down Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and that's one of my favorite runs because it was around the time they were doing the whole Throne of Atlantis stuff, and then it was the whole thing of who's gonna be the head of the Justice League, and it was like kind of between Aquaman and Batman. Really good run. If you haven't checked it out, definitely go look into it. But that's it for comic book talk. That's it for my little comic book section, so to speak. Video games, not a lot. Halo Infinite campaign. It's gorgeous. I have it loaded up on my monitor right over here. I've been playing it also on the TV on the Xbox, but I also have a Game Pass Ultimate. Got it loaded up on the PC right here. So good. I love Halo so much. One of my favorite franchises. There is going to be a special Halo episode. I am waiting until I finish the campaign that I can talk about it because I've already played a lot of the multiplayer because the multiplayer has been out for about 2 weeks now. But yeah, the campaign, delicious. I know it's been out for a couple days, like 4 or 5 days now. I just haven't really had time to fully dive into it because of work and everything else going on. So mainly Halo Infinite. Also on the Switch, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Finally beat the Elite Four and working on the Sinnoh Pokédex so I can get the National Dex and I can open up some more post game content. And also, Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX is officially out. Came out on the 8th and it is delicious. It's available on Steam or the Switch. It's $29.99. It's worth it. That's $15 a game. It's a direct port. Like they polished it a bit, but it's not like a remaster or anything. It still runs like non-widescreen, like box, like what the 4:3 ratio. It just has the little designs around the side bars where it would have been widescreen. Um, it's very nostalgic, very very entertaining, and I miss those games. I forgot how good it was to go back there and get a music CD and put it in, and boom, get a monster. Now you get to go through a library of songs and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. If you're a fan of Monster Rancher and you remember it, or you don't remember it but you know you played it, definitely go check it out. It's worth the price. Hopefully, if it sells well, I'm hoping this leads to like a full, like a new like game altogether, or a remaster, like an actual legit from the ground up rebuilt game. But yeah, so that's it. Games, comics, da da. Now let's just go over really quickly the Gundam box. Now a lot of people, not a lot, a few people, little trolls on the internet, have been saying that I'm just reusing the same Gundam box and I'm just buying stuff online. All of them say limited item, which you can only get at Bandai, and every time you go to them, you get a limited pin. So I got this one. You can't really see it that well, but I have 4 different pins, one for each visit. Now there's 6 pins total, so obviously I have 2 more trips to make. It's not even that far, anyways. It's like 15 miles away or so. I don't know. But yeah, and I'm gonna be building some of these on stream. So first up, I got the cross silhouette frame for Zaku 2. It's a clear color. Um, I've been really getting into the SD Gundams and the SD World Heroes. Um, and there's some stuff that's not from there. I just use this bag. So I did get a couple more of the G frames. I got the RGM 79GS Command, and then I got the MS 08TX Efreet Custom. Then we got some more nano blocks too while we were there at Tokyo Central. I got the Donpan Tokyo Central exclusive nano block. Then I got myself a Venusaur and a Charmander. So we're continuing the Pokemon nano block. And then back to the Gundams. So I got this Hello Kitty Zaku. This is the SD Gundam Cross Silhouettes. So it's a clear color one. The cool thing about this one is you can I think you get to make each one of them separate. And then you can actually make it so Hello Kitty has the Zaku armor on top, but it's clear. So the armor will be clear over a regular, white Hello Kitty. I'm curious as to how that's going to turn out. That's another one I'm going to be making. And then lastly, and that's also another SD Gundam. And then another one from SD Gundams, because I just like the SD Gundams. This is my V Gundam versus Sazabi set. And this is another clear one. It's the RX-93 and the MSN-04. I love the clear color ones. Like, they're so good. I don't know why. I never liked the clear color ones in the past. I never was a fan of them. I was always a fan of the SD Gundams. So, when I used to go to the store as a kid, there was a lot of hobby stores, even Walmart, they would carry the SD Gundams. Like, I feel like, and they were good. I used to get them because they were easy to make. They were easy to make, and they felt more sturdy than a full-fledged, like, 1/144 scale or 1/100 scale. So that's why I really enjoyed those ones. And now that I have more space and I'm getting back into building again, because like I said, an older podcaster in the pandemic and the quarantine, I got back into model kit building thanks to Target carrying them because there's nowhere else I could really go. And I will say, it's been fun getting back into Gundams. I also attribute it to like my Sotos and everything else, just building figures and models and this and that. Like in a stressful time, that makes me relaxed. I get so relaxed after that. I take a nice nap or I go to bed after, and I'm just like, ooh. I was like, that was so good, so good. But that's it for my Gundam stuff. I also finally, let me see. I finally got from my from Zenkaiser. I finally got my Gertlinger, by the way. For the Toku fans out there, don't worry, Toku fans. I haven't forgot about you guys. Obviously, we love our Toku here. I mean, a majority of my collection is Toku related. And yeah, so I did get my Gertlinger finally from Super Sentai, which is Zenkaiser. And yeah, it's so cool. I love it. You can actually see it right here behind the box. Like it's actually really cool to have. I'm gonna be streaming building some of the mini plaws from that soon, actually, probably after I'm done recording this. And yeah, whew, okay. All right, and on to the main topic, which is Spider-Man. I had to fix my light really quick and take a phone call, so I had to, so everything's gonna be a little bit more brighter now because my light died, so I had to plug it in directly, and when it has power to it, it's bright. So with No Way Home, or yeah, No Way Home, coming out. I was like, hey, we're gonna watch some Spider Man, and man, I forgot how good the Sam Raimi Spider Man films were. I mean, three, I had some issues with it, obviously the Venom side of things, but other than that, like I thought casting choices were pretty spot on for all three films to an extent. Um, man, those Raimi films, oof, I forgot how good Willem Dafoe was in the first Spider-Man film. Like so good. And then in Spider-Man 2, him talking to Harry as like Ghost, because Harry's also like kind of losing it a bit. But man, in the first one, Willem Dafoe carried that film. I also like how like everyone talks about like comic book movies being grounded and dark and gritty and this that, but like the first two Raimi films were so grounded with like Peter Parker's story that yeah, Spider-Man was there like as Spider-Man, the main hero, but like the Peter Parker elements of it were just so well written. Toby Maguire killed it. I forgot and they aged well too. Like watching them in like uh, on Blu-ray, this and that, they look so good still, and something about them like just really translated like from a comic book standpoint. I was like, man, they are top tier films. And then you get into Doc Ock in the second one, perfect casting again. Like there was something good about how the balance of all these different characters, like the whole entire time frame, we had like Aunt May's story, we had Peter Parker, we had Spider Man, we had everything with Oscorp and Willem Dafoe. Harry was thrown in there. You had the MJ story. There was a good balance, and it's something that like not a lot of comic book movies can do, balancing that many technically lead characters and still tell an overall comic book film story. And then going into two was the same way, and you got to see kind of like the next iteration. Like you got Peter Parker in the first one in high school. Now we got him in college and balance. Like there's something cool about watching in a movie like Peter Parker balancing going to school, trying to keep a job. Ooh, excuse me. Trying to, you know, be Spider Man, and you forget. Like I completely forgot. I don't know why. I thought he gave up being Spider Man in Spider Man 3, not Spider Man 2. So going through that whole arc of him not being Spider Man, regaining balance in his life, and I was like, wow. I was like, this is like so good. And then fucking J. Jonah Jameson, like, oh my god. So like in the second one when Spider-Man gave up, he's like, "Where's Spider?" Like he's like, "Man, crime's up, this and that," and all of a sudden like Spider-Man suits on his wall, this and that, and like it gets taken, and like mid sentence he's like, "He's a menace, he's a thief." He's like front page cover, and I'm like, ah, I was like that change mid sentence being like missing Spider-Man, then right to he's a criminal, and I was like, man, there's so many subtle things, and also Bruce Campbell's cameo in each one, and I was always hard pressed because I remember in the games, he did the Bruce Campbell did the voice of Mysterio, and I was always hoping like because like in a subtle way him being these different characters in each one of the Raimi films that like it would have led to him being Mysterio. Like this whole entire time, he was like the master of illusions. So he's like a different person every film. But yeah, it was really good. In Spider-Man 3, I think Sandman's story arc was really good in that one. The Venom side of things was like, okay, so if the suit design was changed for Venom, uh, you know, Topher Grace kind of bulked up a bit. But I get they wanted kind of like that doppelganger effect, so they wanted Venom to be kind of like a mirror image of Spider-Man. So this they got some of the same build, same size, this and that. But I thought from an Eddie Brock acting standpoint, Topher Grace did a really good job acting as Eddie Brock. But the suit design and everything else kind of like killed it. And then we had the Hobgoblin, which because that's what he's the Hobgoblin, okay. And I think some of that felt really rushed with James Franco's character, but when he was being kind of like that douche, I thought it was great. I thought it was very entertaining. I thought he did a good job. Could have been far worse than it was, but no, I actually thought it was really good. Um, and there was this whole like the trilogy as a whole. Like I'm still mad we didn't get 4 because the rumor was John Malkovich was going to be Vulture, and I was always like, ooh, Vulture. I want Vulture in a film. Obviously, we got it back in Homecoming later on. But before we got the Homecoming, we had the Amazing Spider-Man films. And I think my issue with the Amazing Spider-Man was there was too much going on, and a lot of stuff was kind of like nipped. I get it, they couldn't do that. They didn't want to like go revisit the whole Mary Jane story. So they Gwen Stacy. And casting choices and all these once again really good. We had the Lizard, Dr. Connors in the first one. I thought that was really cool. They could have kept the lab coat and the shorts more to that. Um, Definitely like visually very good. I realized a lot of the scenes at night, like a lot of a lot of stuff was happening at night and very like dark, but I didn't mind it. I thought Andrew Garfield did a really good job with high school Peter Parker, like that more sarcastic, like hey, because let's face it, if you're like a nerdy little like kid in high school who isn't good with social skills or indications and you get these powers, you know damn well you're gonna like kind of like get a little bit of a little ego to you, a little more sarcastic, a little more wit, because you now know, hey, I'm untouchable. So I did like his start for his attitude and his like charisma coming out like over time in the first movie. Um, and I thought the first movie was actually really good. I think from all the action sequences, cinematography, that's not really good film. I enjoyed it thoroughly. The second one, man, other than Electro's design and the kid playing Harry Osborn, the one from what was that? It was that weird movie, Chronicles. Like I thought he was good in Chronicles, and I think he did an alright Harry Osborn, but when he became the Goblin, it was kind of just like, no, I just. But the one thing we did get though, we got the Gwen Stacy death. Like, I didn't think they'd ever do that in a Spider-Man film. I legitimately, wholeheartedly did not think they were gonna. And there's the second movie. I feel like was more setting up the Sinister Six and everything else more than just trying to like make it its own thing, its own movie, its own continuation story. They were trying too hard to set up more stuff. Like we had Rhino at the end and like really quickly, which everything about that Rhino design I hated 100% except for the actor. I think it was like Paul Giamatti. Like I was like, okay, I'm okay with him being Rhino. I'm okay with this completely. But the design, everything else was just, I hated it. Jamie Foxx's Electro, cool, but then he got blue skin, and I was like, blue skin? Mm, nah, it looked too wonky, and also a lot of the combat sequences with that were too CGI heavy, so it kind of like took me out of it. Whereas with yeah, in the Raimi ones there was a lot, CG, but man, like when you go back to the first film and you watch the fight between Goblin and Spider-Man, and it's just very close quarters, hand to hand, not a lot of special effects, very dialogue throughout it and emotion in it, and it was so good. Same with Doctor Octopus. Obviously, they had to use CG for like the tentacles and this and that, but it was just so. A lot of the fights were just very close, zoomed in on like from torso up to head. Not a lot of pan out shots with a lot of CG, and it like the grounded effect of it. It was very grounded, very realistic. The Amazing Spider-Man, they upped the special effects, and while I can appreciate the budget and the time and the care and the energy that goes into making that, just didn't do it for me. And then we have Homecoming. The MCU Spider-Man, I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. Like, I think villain casting has been so good. I mean, Michael Keaton as Vulture. I think Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio was so good. Um, and they handled the whole post Tony Stark thing very well in the new MCU Spider-Man. Aunt May, not a fan of at all. Like, okay, not nothing to do with the actress, just a story wise. It's just like I get it. We can't have the same Aunt May who's like older and just not you know I don't know. They have a younger, more active Aunt May, which I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man had an Aunt May that was like not elderly and was a little more active. I know they did it in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon from Disney, which was like on Disney DX or something. They had her as like she was very active. She was like sportsy. She was going out mountain climbing and all this other stuff and hiking and very very active. So I was like, all right, it's a different iteration of Aunt May. We don't need the same retelling. But when you go back and you watch Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and you see, especially at the first one, when you know Peter Parker's going out at night and coming back, and he's supposed to get the eggs. And he comes back and he doesn't have the eggs, and just checks the fridge, this and that. And Aunt May is like digging into him, and like that was such good acting. Those scenes were just so good and just like raw. And I was like, yeah. And now in the MCU, I'm like, all right, are we supposed to be like, ooh, Aunt May, how's it going? Because that's not. I don't know. Also, I think they relied too heavily on Tony Stark for a lot of stuff. And I get it because even in the comics, like Peter Parker's a Tony Stark fanboy. If you go deep dive into the comics post, Amazing Spider-Man 700, when we get into Superior Spider-Man, when Doc Ock is now in Peter Parker's body, he starts Parker Industries. He's, a playboy philanthropist, all this other stuff, the spiel. He's basically Diet Tony Stark or Tony Stark Zero Sugar. And from that standpoint, in those regards, I'm like, okay, I get, the Tony Stark elements of it. I just think from a Spider-Man standpoint with the MCU, it's just like, okay, his friends like know, like what if his friends know like halfway through the first movie Spider-Man, and then Far From Home by the end of that, more of his friends know, and it's just like one of those things like, and then obviously it's no secret because everyone like gets put out that his whole spiel, he is Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and that's what we're getting with No Way Home. By the way, I'm not going to spoil No Way Home when it comes out. If you spoil No Way Home, you're a dick. End of discussion. You're just a dick. Okay, a lot of people have been waiting for this. There's a lot of Spider-Man fans who we haven't had an actual like decent trilogy for Spider-Man. Okay, let's face it. The third Raimi film was, what it was. It happened. I don't hate it, but it could have been a lot better. Um, and Amazing Spider-Man never got the third film it deserved. But with the MCU Spider-Man, this is how many films now? Because he was in Civil War, he was in Infinity War, came back in Civil Endgame. Then he had his two. So he's been in a lot of films now, and I think it's at the point now where this standalone, because I don't know if he's gonna, if the MCU, if after this one, like Spider-Man's still in, like in the MCU, or is he taking a break? I don't know what's going on with that. Um, I mean, they set up so much stuff right now with the Sony Spider-Mans. I mean, we are, I assume we're still gonna get Sinister Six. I don't know if we're getting a standalone film for that. We have two Venom films. Morbius is coming out next month, which I'm genuinely excited for. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing Morbius. I actually like Morbius. I think from a comic book standpoint, and in the animated Spider-Man show in the '90s, this and that, it sets up a chance that we can bring in Blade, Punisher. Like, this leads into a lot of things going forward for a shared Spider-Man universe. Even though some of them are Marvel, some of them are Sony. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't follow any of that stuff anymore. But, you know, I think, and I'm not really going to talk about like the MCU Spider-Man's much. I'm not going to go into the films. I kind of said my spiel on it because, like, if you've seen them, you've seen them. But, and they're newer, so it wasn't like I had to go back, like, I wonder what happened in those. It's like, no, I genuinely was like, I haven't watched the Raimi Trilogy or Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 in a long time. Let me check those out. But yeah, I'm excited for No Way Home. I really want to see that. I can't wait. I'm probably gonna go see it over the weekend. Definitely gonna be avoiding spoilers. But even I like how a part of their campaign is like don't spoil anything now, which I really enjoy. I feel like a lot of people just, especially with the internet, they don't care to spoil things. They don't care if people want to wait and enjoy things. Everyone wants to like instantly be like, "Oh my god, this happened! I can't believe it." It's like, cool, you can't believe it. Keep it to your fucking self. That's it. But yeah, that's it for episode 96 of a Nerd Named Mark podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, I thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos of other stuff. And if you're listening to this, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave me a 5-star review. Leave me a little review. You know what I'm saying? A little review. My hair is acting up because it's raining out. And I got my hair wet going to get the mail. So yeah, if you go to anchor.fm, you can find a Nerd Named Mark podcast. I got little links that tell you what podcast streaming platform it's available on. So you can listen to it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, obviously, I've already mentioned. Um, Podcast Republic. There's a whole slew of lists. So you can just go to anchor.fm under Name Mark Podcast. I got the links in all the descriptions of everything and on social media under Name Mark. Click on the link, you can see everywhere it goes. You can see, where you can listen to it, where you can watch it. Obviously, YouTube. On my social medias, I post a lot of behind the scenes stuff when I'm in between recordings every week. So you'll see like new hauls, stuff I don't talk about on the podcast, comic book covers, new collectibles, because I don't go over everything in the episodes because that's a lot and that could take a lot of time. So I thank you guys for listening. I thank you guys for watching. This has been episode 96 of our Nerd Named Mark podcast. My name is Mark, and I'm a nerd.